Good morning, everybody. 3:07 a.m. on Saturday morning. Forecast update here, and also looking at some severe thunderstorms out there across the area. Looks like there's potentially for some damaging winds there moving toward Moulton, so 60 mile per hour winds potentially with that. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 3:30 for southeastern Colbert and Franklin, and also southern Lawrence counties. At 2:58, a severe thunderstorm was located near Phil Campbell or near Russellville, moving east at 60 miles per hour. That stuff's really hauling it out there. 60 mile per hour wind gusts to penny size hail. Locations include Mount Hope, Cedar Creek Reservoir, Littleville, LaGrange, Tharptown, Neesmith, Duketon, Russellville, and Rockwood. So seeing that, nice little thunderstorm activity there. Also some severe thunderstorm warnings out around the Beaverton area, Sulligent, Alabama area. Some hail in there and them storms there around Gwynn, and also moving into the Brilliant area. Also have some special weather statements out for the areas around, looks like Cody, Henson Springs, Camp McDowell, Wayside, Clear Creek. Looks like that's Lynn, Ashbank, Rankin Font Airport, Fayette, Pebble, Bull Branch, Coon Creek, Pine Springs, Marion County Public Lake, Piney Grove, Natural Bridge, Black Pond, Weiss, and Bazemore. Some hard words to pronounce. Also watching some strong storms move out of Tennessee here around the Winchester area. Nice little gust front going on there. Some strong winds. National Weather Service has a special weather statement out for areas up in Tennessee. So currently tracking that out. So it looks like there is some high winds along a gust front. Looks like there may be a special weather statement needed for Jackson County. Now, all this is coming out of the north, out of Tennessee to the southeast. Now, let me show you what the high resolution models are wanting to think this is going to do, and I'm in pretty good agreement with it at this point. Just got up, haven't been on all night, so I just got woke up by the watch just a little while ago. So let's go ahead and look at the high resolution, see what it's thinking about all this mess here. I believe you will get some winds in the Huntsville area with this system, to be honest, and maybe some thunderstorm activity, but it's kind of split at the moment. Kind of just split up. I'll show you exactly what I think it's going to do here. Let me get the high resolution models up if I'm able to do that. Okay. All right, let me adjust that out. So there's our high resolution models, literally looking like right now. We kind of got the system split off. We got some up in Tennessee, some here, of course, in northwest Alabama. And then systems still remaining split up. As it continues to progress, there could be some severe weather for Marshall County. Now, I'm seeing some of those cells there showing signs of large hail as it pushes through. This is going to be at approximately 4 a.m. So somewhere right in there between now and 4 o'clock. System still could have a few potential severe wind gusts as this comes through. So something we're going to watch right now. It is split up. Of course, this could change, but it's showing the worst of it, honestly. We could definitely see something here in DeKalb and Marshall counties, that's for sure. And even Jackson County, won't rule them out with that gust front coming in. That's what it's taking in mind here. And that's what you're seeing with this little bit that's kind of proceeding out there toward Jackson County. It's split up, and then it becomes one system as it completely moves through here. So it looks like it gets into here again around 4 or 5 a.m. looking at that. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Definitely a threat of some damaging straight line winds with this stuff. Also some hail as it becomes one system. Combines with that gust front that we've got coming out of the north right now. Let's get back and look at that again. And there's our gust front up in Tennessee. So this is all going to combine together as it continues off to the southeast. So we can see some damaging winds with it. Not sure what's going on. I got a message from my admin saying he's had some really rude people. I don't know what that's all about. Like I said, I ain't got time to mess with none of it. We'll get to that later. But anyway, tracking this out, Pauline Fletcher. Looks like it'll be probably going through Huntsville here, probably the next little bit, 30 minutes or so maybe. It's moving off pretty quick. We're going to see what that gust front does, though. That's kind of what we're watching. Is that gust front coming out of Tennessee. So if you're in Jackson County, be ready for some high wind, especially around Bridgeport, High Top area. Also in Marshall County, could have some high winds there as well as the system moves through. Hello, Mr. Mike. Hope you're doing good tonight. I haven't seen you in a little while, so hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hello, Miss Pam. Good morning. Good to see you. You're very welcome, everybody. Glad I can do it. I got me a well-needed sleep. And so we do have a severe thunderstorm warning still going on for the Moulton area. Looks like that is going to be till 2, or actually at 2:58. Hasn't been up too long. It's near Phil Campbell or near Russellville, moving east at 60 miles per hour. Stuff's really hauling it. So this is moving off to the east, so we'll have to keep an eye on it here in Jackson, DeKalb, or actually Marshall, DeKalb, and Jackson counties as it moves through. Right now, my attention is going to be with these cells to the west of Marshall County. Those could, and more than likely, will potentially clip Marshall County, western portions of Marshall County, maybe even the whole area. I'm kind of watching the direction they're moving. And they're going to be, of course, interacted with by this gust front coming out of the north. So all this is going to collide into one as it pushes on off to the southeast, or it's expected to anyway. You can kind of see where it's split off here. And there's our big gust front coming in. So these are more than likely going to collide together and be one big system. And it'll definitely pose a threat of damaging winds as it pushes south. And that's not the right scan. Neither is that. There's our gust front. You can see it pretty easily. It's moving into like Huntland, moving to the south. Looks like it'll move into New Market, Meridianville, Hazel Green. It looks like the highest winds are going to be kind of around that area, anywhere around Hazel Green and New Market. I think it's going to push off to the southeast a bit more than those areas. So areas most definitely around High Top, Stevenson, and Bridgeport. Up in Jackson County, and can't rule out New Market. This stuff here is pushing off to the southeast up in Tennessee, and we've got this stuff to the west pushing off to the east. So it's something we'll watch. No, according to the models, there's no threat of a tornado. Yeah, Travis, it depends really on where you're coming from, but I mean, possibly. It looks like it hits around the 4 or 5 a.m., somewhere right in there, so we still got a little bit longer. Particularly, keeping a very close eye on the gust front from the north, because we got those storms to the north traveling to the south, and then we got the storms to the west traveling east. So we're going to watch it as the gust front combines in with it. I think it's just going to push it southeast and maybe combine into one big line, which would pose a threat of gusty to damaging straight line winds as it does progress southeast here around the next hour or so. Well, I'll be honest, I've been kind of out of the loop when it comes to the storm that hit Somerset because I've been asleep, just got woke up. So I've been out of the loop a little bit on that. But I could tell you nothing insanely crazy with it yet. So nothing like what they've been seeing in Illinois and Kentucky and all that. We're only in a marginal risk, which doesn't mean nothing. We've definitely seen tornadoes with no risk really at all. So, I'll keeping that in mind too. Until this system to the north travels, pushes on through, there's always that possibility of some gusty winds and stuff like that. Um, just to be honest, the way the system is doing, you may only get some gusty winds there in Huntsville, to be honest, but I can't rule it out fully till we see what it actually does. But I'm just saying my opinion where Huntsville's at compared to where the both systems are coming in at. It looks like it collides together as it gets kind of over Marshall and Jackson County and even DeKalb County. It looks like, when it starts to get further south is when it actually collides together. But you're still going to get some high winds in Huntsville, so I can't really rule everything out with those two areas. But me personally, I think Huntsville will get some gusty winds, but, it could always do different. So let's take a quick look at this Storm Prediction Center outlooks. I'll show everybody. I just updated online about that just a moment ago. All right, so keep in mind we do have another threat of severe thunderstorms on Sunday. So let me see if I can pull this graphics up real quick. I just love it when it doesn't want to cooperate. Alright, so I'm having to get it adjusted to the screen here, and it's wanting to be stubborn. So sorry about that. Okay, so let's have a look at everything here. Looks like Sunday, or actually, no, let's back it way up. Saturday, of course, marginal threat of severe thunderstorms expected. This is the newest update, so just making sure. It looks like it just updated on me. So it is wanting to show a possible tornado threat. I just saw the update, unless my computer was lagging, so I'm trying to check the date on these and the time. These are a little bit confusing to me. Sunday, Saturday, we got. I thought I was seeing things, but evidently not. Looks like there's two outlooks out for Sunday, so I don't know what's going on with all that. That's confusing. But anyway, we'll just go with this one. That's really all we got for Saturday at this point. There is a threat of some tornadoes. Looks like mainly around anywhere from Huntsville, Decatur to Florence, unless that's updated, because it is still updating. That's why it's a little bit confusing. But it is the newest update was at 2 something 02. Let's see, that was at goodness. I don't even think it's updated just yet, but it is updating. Anyway, we'll have to watch for the threat of a tornado or two. Very low, 2% risk. Huntsville, Decatur, Florence. Basically, if you're in Florence, it's already moved away from you. If you're in Decatur, we're watching all that now. Huntsville, still watching all that now. Threat of some damaging winds, that looks more likely, as well as some hail. Getting on into Sunday's outlooks, which looks exactly the same. Just want to make sure. We have a threat of some severe thunderstorms. Marginal risk on Sunday. Primary threats with that. Tornado threat further northwest of our area. Severe winds outlook, of course, damaging winds, hail. And then we watch another system around, looks like Tuesday, the 20th, and into Wednesday. We could have some, maybe some severe thunderstorms Tuesday. That outlook still hasn't come clear yet, but it is indicating some kind of system coming in around Tuesday. So when I said a while back that we're about to get into an active severe pattern, this is what I meant. So let's go ahead and get back to the radar, and maybe these will go ahead and update so they're not confusing. You're about to drive to Florence. Well, you got a ton of thunderstorm activity there. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for the Moulton area. That's pushing off to the southeast. Looks like it's going toward Coleman currently. We've got two areas that we're having to watch. So if you're in the Florence area right now, so let me correct myself while I try to wake up a little bit, get my head in order. If you're in Florence, nothing right now. It looks, systems to the south of you. There is some winds coming in, but I think pretty much you may be done with everything in Florence, but there is still a watch in effect. So I believe they're thinking something's going to go on there. Let me look a little further back, see if I see anything further back. So there's our cold front sitting off the northwest, responsible for all this mess. That looks like that's the main system. So we'll watch for any additional development. That's kind of what they're doing. But I believe in Florence, it's clear right now in Florence. Everything's south of you and northeast of you. So we're starting to see those higher winds. There may be, a possibility some of these, could be strong. Some of these winds here. So we're actually going to switch radars over because that was lagging a lot. So let's go ahead and switch over to the other one. All right, so now we are starting to see what it was referring to as the systems colliding together. So this will be where we need to watch for any rotation with storms as these systems collide. It's wanting to show them colliding, honestly, it looks like they collide somewhere right in here as they meet. And then they progress further southeast, posing a decent threat of some damaging winds, straight line winds possibly. So it looks like as they get on down further, they eventually collide together. We're starting to see some of that, trying to collide together now as the gust front's moving south. And if you're in Huntsville, we'll have to watch all that. I can't give the all clear yet because it's not, moved through. You are about to get some of this rain and wind and all that good stuff. Also, High Top and Jackson County, Bridgeport, New Market area. This is all coming in pretty quick. So I'm going to say around the 4 o'clock time frame, somewhere right in there, we should start to see these two collide. But right now, the only warning is really for the Moulton area, and it's pushing off to the southeast. Some pretty high winds with that, up to 60 miles per hour possible. Thanks, JJX. I appreciate that. Be careful. Can you let me know where VH is at? My brain's just kind of, still haven't quite woke up good yet. Okay, what are we doing here? So the way those winds look, there's a possibility this stuff moves into Marshall County around possibly the Arab area. I'm not really sure though. The way it's kind of going southeast, it's gonna be kind of tricky here to forecast until this northern part collides. But it shows it colliding together as it gets into Marshall County and DeKalb. The scans are so noisy tonight. It's really hard to. Okay, there we go. Looks like it straightened out a little bit. So definitely some high winds coming through the Moulton area. Could be some 60 miles per hour, no doubt. I can see that now. So yeah, look at that. Some pretty high winds coming in with that system there toward Moulton. So 62. That says 66. I hope to goodness that's not right. But definitely some damaging winds coming through. I'm about to move into Moulton here any second. Really good little batch of damaging winds too. 60, maybe even higher, according to the radar tool there. Could be higher than 60. Let's just do another scan on it. Okay, so definitely got some high winds. So this is going to be rather downburst winds here is what we're going to be dealing with. So this pretty high winds coming into Moulton, could be 60, maybe more. Looks like the storm's weakening, and it is downbursting out, so it's producing a lot of outflow. Some very high winds, maybe 60 plus possible for the Moulton area as this progresses on to the east. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear of some wind damage in that area if these winds are actually making it to the ground, as the radar suggests that it is. That was a 67 miles per hour it's showing, and if that's making it to the ground, that's some high winds. So it looks like it will be going right toward Moulton. So all along that line, there's some really high winds with it. So if you're in Moulton, get ready for this. Hunker down for a little bit. It's about to get really windy. Hopefully, if you got a storm shelter and you're in Moulton, looking as high as these winds are, if you're in a mobile home, I wouldn't want to be in a mobile home, just to be truthful, with these kind of winds. So it looks like they're just now starting to get toward Moulton, with the highest right now being showing up just barely west of Moulton, just about a little bit. Wow, that's 68 miles per hour. So you're talking the possibility of some 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this thing. If that's actually making it to the ground. Radar indicated 60 miles per hour, it says. But my tool shows way more than that. And yeah, I'm going to say I have to agree with it by looking at all those lightning strikes. That's definitely intense cell. So, yeah, pushing through Moulton, getting ready. The winds are just on the back side of this. They're actually pushing on through. So yeah, if you're in Moulton, be ready. It is coming. If you haven't got the winds yet, you will be. This thing goes in effect, it says, for 3:30, so it just should have just expired just a second ago. So let's see if it actually did. So far, I'm not seeing it expired. All right, so looks like the radar I'm using now may be lagging just a little bit, so I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, now radar scope is lagging. My goodness, let's switch the radar out. And my chat just went down too. What is going on with this thing tonight? Okay, so there's our newest update, and it's looks like this one's outperforming the other one now. So I'm glad that one of them's working right. Okay, so we now have a special weather statement out. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour possible, so it definitely produced some high winds to the west of Moulton. Weakened out a bit, and the radar that I was just using had actually quit updating. So that's what that warning was out for. Now that warning has been canceled. It's been put in effect for a special weather statement. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Locations include Wilburn, Trinity, Valamosa Springs, Coleman, Crane Hill, Falkville, Speak, Basham, Battleground, and Lacken. And that does go into Marshall County. As we was talking about a minute ago, around Arab, Union Grove area, and New Hope, also just south of Huntsville. So that's where that special weather statement is. And here comes our big gust front out of the north. So I am a little bit concerned of maybe the potential for some rotation with some of these, especially with that wind gust from the north meeting up with the storms, with producing the winds there, moving off to the east. We'll have to watch those, see how they do. But I'm going to say I'm in agreement with the high resolution that it does collide somewhere over Marshall and DeKalb counties. It looks like they're getting ready to meet up. So if you're in Jackson County around Bridgeport, be ready for some gusty winds. No special weather statement out on that storm or area of the storms yet. But I do see some high winds, so there's a good possibility that there might be a special weather statement issued out. And this stuff does look like it's going to impact Hazel Green and New Market, High Top, Bridgeport, Stevenson, Skyline pretty soon and move southeast. I got a feeling there may possibly be another warning going out. That's some indication of some hail there in that one. Just have to see if it actually verifies or not. Nothing in Scottsboro yet, but there's some stuff coming. So I'm going to refresh the high resolution models and see if they're still in agreement with these two systems meeting up. And they are in agreement with it still. Literally looks like it collides as a good portion. So we're going to really watch Marshall County because it looks like they get some pretty decent cells coming across as they do collide. Let's look at Jackson County, of course. Jackson County almost looks like they miss out on it other than some high winds with that gust front. It looks like that gust front's what they're going to get, and then these storms start to put themselves together and collide together. Like right as it enters the western portion of Marshall County, it starts to collide together, and then it kind of goes through DeKalb County. We start getting some development. So we'll have to watch Marshall and DeKalb County and still keep an eye on Jackson, but it looks like Jackson might just miss it. As well as the Huntsville area, y'all might just miss it, according to what the high resolution models are thinking. And looks like they're in pretty good agreement with it. Special weather statement just south of Huntsville, so y'all might just miss out. And Jackson County, y'all might just miss out on everything but the wind. But we still have to watch Marshall and DeKalb counties as it pushes through. That is current model guidance thinking. If it changes, then, it can do the opposite. But I'm not thinking it's going to be wrong, considering these storms to the west are falling apart. and everything's pretty much showing exactly what the high resolution models are lining up with. So we'll be tracking this through at least 5 o'clock. Looks like 4 to 5 o'clock is when it starts to kind of get together a bit more. I'm going to say maybe 4:30-ish. Good morning, everybody. Just looking through the comments. Yeah, Mike, I mean, I'll be honest. I think you're going to get some high winds because you're up further northeast. I think what you're going to experience is going to be this gust front out of the north. You might miss out on the warnings and stuff. Hopefully we all do, but we're going to have to watch Marshall and DeKalb counties, particularly further to the south, when they start to get together a little bit better. We might just be lucky and miss out on it, to be honest. I hope we do. And it looks like it really gets its act together as it starts going south, kind of toward Gadsden and south, further south and southeast. It really gets itself together as a line at that point. So as it progresses further south, there's definitely going to be a threat of damaging winds with it. And we have cooled off a little bit. We're at 74 degrees. We were at 76. We actually hit 76 there for a little bit. And it's pretty windy out. So I'm thinking we might just get lucky here. We'll have to see. But I think really the high resolution models are right on it regarding the exact timing and everything. Looks like around 4:30, maybe 5 when it actually collides here. That is excluding the northern portions of Jackson and also Madison because it's coming in right now. What y'all are getting with this is what you're going to get. So yeah, what you're seeing here with these winds is what you're going to get. So when these winds move through, it'll continue to move off to the kind of east-southeast. These systems will collide together and become one system. It's kind of moving east. So I'll try to draw an idea, give you an idea what it's going to actually do according to the high resolution and what I'm looking at. So there's our gust front now making it into Bridgeport and Jackson County and High Top. So that's what you're going to get. It'll progress on to the southeast, rather, and we got these storms here around Haleyville already, moving to the east, kind of moving that direction there. And when they all collide together, it'll turn into one line. Approximately this area here, all this to the north collides, and it becomes one line, and it all starts going southeast. At that point, in my opinion, it would have a very good risk of some straight line damage and winds as it moves further south. So we will have to watch areas in Marshall County like Arab, Guntersville, Albertville, and areas like Crossville, Geraldine, Collinsville areas, further south where that line makes itself into one. We'll also keep an eye on the winds that's actually gusting out ahead of it to see if anything, goes on there too. But so far, just gusty winds, no special weather statement up in Jackson. But there is one in effect for around Marshall County, Arab, Union Grove areas, and Guntersville areas with this stuff out of the west. So we'll watch that. But regarding any tornado potential, it's really low because I'm noting they're not going to meet quite fast enough, in my opinion, to be producing a tornado or anything. Of course, right now, if it's going to do something, right here's pretty much the area it needs to do it would be doing it at. But these winds are going to be coming in on the back side of the storm, so instead of them colliding with the winds that are out ahead of it, which could potentially cause some rotation to go on, it's going to be coming in behind it. So it's going to just push those storms further to the southeast. Instead of having the crosswinds meet up there, where you got a system from the west, straight line winds pushing off to the east, and you got these winds out of the north to the south. They're going to pretty much go together once they meet. Instead of just crossing up like we've seen it happen before. All right, so our models haven't updated enough, but it 100% collides into a main line of storms as it starts to get into areas of the south that was around Gadsden, anywhere from the areas I just showed you in DeKalb and Marshall, and going into Gadsden, it collides into one line. Has a pretty nice little bow echo on it too. It starts to bow out thanks to those winds. Pushes on off to the southeast and continues to weaken as it gets on into pretty much Georgia. Just falls completely apart. So I'm going to look at a little more advanced model a little bit more ahead of time to get an idea on Sunday's system. And of course, it definitely shows some heavy showers of storms moving through on Sunday. They didn't look all that impressive to me. And yeah, we really don't have any model runs that really add up all that much. So got a nice little cell there west of Falkville showing some hail. Could be something we've been watching for a minute there. It's strengthening up just a bit. I'll have to watch that. Oh yeah, it's humid out. 94% humidity out at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's definitely humid out. Good morning, everybody. But yeah, just note something. I do have another admin that's in Illinois, and he does like to cover the weather from Illinois in here. So I don't know what all went on earlier, but I've got my phone blew up by a bunch of stuff. And I said, I don't have time to deal with this. I was asleep. So I don't even know what went on. But whatever it was, he does like to cover the weather from Illinois. Understandably, because we do have people in here from Illinois as well that watch. So, just be nice to him if he's covering weather from Illinois. Because I've seen some pretty rude comments to him, just to be honest. So you're getting some of those winds in the Bridgeport area. High Top also starting to move into Hazel Green and New Market. Everything's still pretty much doing exactly what the high resolution showed. So let's just kind of hang on a little bit and wait. I personally believe, though, if you're around Huntsville, maybe even Jackson County, you're probably going to miss out on a lot of this, thankfully. If you're in Florence and northwest Alabama, your severe threat has moved off to the southeast and is over with. I see that the Storm Prediction Center has moved that severe thunderstorm watch completely out. So if you're in Florence and Cherokee areas, Tuscumbia, Lexington area, your severe threat's over. It's out of there. So it's lining up perfectly. The high resolution models are, going perfectly with what it's doing. So that's particularly one of my most favorite models. It's usually 95% of the time it's very accurate. I've seen it do opposite before, of course, but it's usually very accurate. That's it. That's why it is the best model to use when you got storms that's actually currently moving in, to know what they're going to do. It's very good for that. But as far as long range, of course it's not a long range model that you're able to look very far out with. So you're able to only look out like a couple hours, maybe an hour ahead or two, maybe a little bit more depending. But most of the time, it's only within a few hour range. But just kind of hang on, Huntsville area. They're waiting to see what happens with this gust front. Sorry about that. This gust front. And looks like areas around Athens should be clearing out of that severe thunderstorm watch very shortly. And also eventually Huntsville. And eventually, more than likely, Jackson County will get out of this before DeKalb and Marshall does. So, if you're here in DeKalb and Marshall, kind of hang out for another hour or so because we're still going to hang out with that watch until this pushes on through. And based on the storm's, current progress and the way they look, I don't really expect a lot with it until they collide together. That's what I'm really waiting on them to do. Good news, though, no special weather statements going out for Jackson. The only ones we have are currently for the areas west of Marshall County. And possibility that, might extend further east. It really depends on how far east the system here to the west, moving east, is able to get east before they collide together and pushes off to the southeast. So if you're in the Athens area, looks like you should be getting cleared from that severe thunderstorm watch probably within the next little while. Eventually, Moulton also will be getting cleared from that. There's still some stuff moving through, so that's why it's still in effect. But it will be getting cleared eventually. Probably within the next 30 minutes or so, maybe an hour. So Huntsville, get ready. What you're about to get is what you're going to get. Some gusty winds, maybe some light rainfall. I can, confidently say that now. That's what I've been watching for, just to make sure before I say, hey, you're good to go to bed, and then something bad comes through. But this is what you're going to get. It's going to be the gusty winds, maybe some light rainfall, light to moderate. You probably won't even have any thunder, to be honest. Same with Jackson County. You probably are not going to have any thunder or anything, just some gusty winds come through. Maybe some light rain with it. But again, the areas here that we're watching is going to be anywhere from Guntersville to Geraldine to Crossville to Collinsville. The areas further south are the ones that we're watching. And also Gadsden, it looks like it tries to put itself together pretty good. So Gadsden could have a threat of some damage and winds. If it does what it's supposed to do, that is. More than likely, though, this is going to be just some high winds when it does collide together. Melissa, depends on where you're at. There's not really any lightning at all. Anywhere from Stevenson, pretty much Jackson County, no lightning. Huntsville areas, no lightning. Hazel Green, Athens, no lightning. The lightning threat looks like it's going kind of toward Arab and Guntersville areas. This is the main line. Once this pushes through, we should be good. So yeah, that's why those watches are being canceled. This is the main line coming through. Once that watch is canceled, or once this line gets through, we'll be done for today, but we'll have to watch for another round tomorrow. And even into Monday and Tuesday, I'm a bit more concerned, to be honest, with that next system around Tuesday. We do have a big, strong cold front come in. And while we've got a minute where there's no warnings, let's see if I can get that up. So you're close to Mentone. Let me pull that up real quick. And forgive me, my brain's still a little bit slow. So if I'm going the complete different direction than where you're at, forgive me. Okay, give me just 1 second. I'll figure out where it's at. Okay, that's what I was thinking, so I just wanted to be sure. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I believe you're in Mentone, so you're further northeast. So I think all you're going to get is gusty winds, maybe not even any lightning or anything. It's the areas further south that I'm concerned about. I would be concerned right now if we had a line of severe storms. Let's say we had this line here. These storms extended all the way up to the north, up into these storms here, and we had this gust front coming across here, meeting up with them. Then I would be concerned because that's two different areas of winds colliding together, and you've already got some pretty high built storms there, some very high winds going in different directions. I would be concerned with maybe a tornado threat, but since I don't see that, there's no storms there with the main line, I'm not really concerned at all. There's nothing there other than some gusty winds, so that's good. Everything's further south of that. So Huntsville, you're about to get yours. Like I said, what's coming is coming. That's what you're going to get. Bridgeport, it's already passing you. So more than likely, that's all you're going to see. I'm still watching though because we do still have some stronger storms up here, but I'm not thinking they're going to affect the Bridgeport area. It looks like it's wanting to stay further north of you. So basically, what's expected to happen is this big mess here, expected to just fall completely apart. That gust front continues south, eventually colliding together with the system out of the west, and eventually it just becomes one big line. Like I said, somewhere right in here, it'll just rather become a big line. It'll actually be more like that instead of the way the top one looks. More like that. Yeah, that's not working so good. But this gust front is going to be in control of where these storms go. So it's going to be the steering of these storms. So it's definitely going to start pushing them further southeast. But yeah, most that knows, been following me for years, knows I don't operate on Saturdays unless absolutely, or actually Friday night and Saturday unless there's absolutely necessary. And, of course, it's absolutely necessary. We got to watch out. So it's serious enough. Again, I really don't expect much if you're further north in those northern counties, like I'll say northern Marshall County, Jackson County, even the Huntsville area, northern DeKalb. I'm not really concerned about those areas yet. We'll watch and see what happens, but I'm not really all that concerned because it doesn't look like this system out of the west is going to be able to get over here in time, to develop into anything. But the further south, they've got a better potential. Like I said, anywhere from Collinsville, Crossville, Geraldine, Albertville, Guntersville, Arab, and Douglas. Those are the areas I'm watching. And then it goes further southeast. It's supposed to collide into one big line as it moves through Gadsden further south. So, but the threat of anything severe is incredibly low with this. More than less going to be gusty winds with it even then. So I'm going back to refresh the high resolution models and see if they still line up. Alright, so they're literally updating right now, so I'm not able to really see much of anything with it. So it's wanting to show some heavier rainfall compared to what it was just showing 5 minutes ago. That's how quick these models update. So it's wanting to bring a little bit better threat of some rainfall as it pushes through, let's say Huntsville further southeast. That's what the newest thinking is. And it also thinks that it may that western part might strengthen up just a little bit as it pushes southeast. So that's not really much different than what it was saying just a little while ago. So I'm personally thinking it may be further south than what the models are thinking. Keep in mind those repeaters you're hearing identify saying it's 5 o'clock where they're at. It's an hour ahead of time. So just heads up, it's actually 4 o'clock here where we're at. And also got to do something real quick if my chat will allow me to do that. Okay. We'll see if that works, and maybe that'll get some people's attention, and also for these storms to be moving at 60 miles per hour, they are definitely taking their time. So again, thanks everybody for joining me here. So we're still watching those winds move through Bridgeport, Stevenson, Huntsville. You're about to get your winds, and of course, you know, the models did update. You could get some, you know, light to moderate rainfall with that. Pretty much same as it was showing earlier. The only update it really did was showed a better chance of rain now for areas maybe around Scottsboro, Grant, Guntersville, you know, DeKalb County areas, Marshall, further south as it progresses compared to what it showed earlier. So. Okay. So yeah, still my current thinking is it's going to shift just a little bit more to Marshall County, which it has been. As I said earlier, I think it might be a little bit further south and west. And that's what's going on now. The models are now thinking as well. The best chance of a severe thunderstorm with this now would be for Marshall County. And of course, it'll combine into one big line. Still won't rule out some in southern DeKalb County because the line really quickly gets its act together, or actually combines into one main line as it gets, looks like as it starts going toward the Gadsden areas when it starts to push into one big line. And then starts going toward Georgia. There's a little bit of a bow out in it as it goes through Georgia, so it could pose a damaging wind threat. So keep in mind this model is not called a rapid refresh model for no reason. It rapidly refreshes, so you have to check it every few to keep updated with it. So it literally refreshes very quick. That's why it's called the high resolution rapid refresh model. It's really quick. It really keeps up with it. So my new area of concern that we'll be watching will literally be right here because they're about to collide together. And I keep drawing that thing wrong. So it looks like it becomes one main line right there where I've drawn it out at. So southern parts of Marshall County probably will maybe go ahead and, you know, extend on out that special weather statement. And there's a possibility that it includes the southern parts of DeKalb too as it pushes through. And then it'll go south of us into Gadsden. So if you're in Gadsden, probably going to get a little bit rough there. But again, I want to remind there is a special weather statement in effect, and it does include Marshall County. This watch will more than likely cancel a lot sooner than 10 o'clock. Further northwest portions should start to clear from that watch very shortly. The further the system moves away, they'll start to clear that out, that watch. But basically, if you're in Athens, your severe weather threat is pretty much over with. Let me go ahead and put my 2 cents in. I keep forgetting I'm on here. Let's see. Station 28 Skywarn, want to advise areas of concern potentially would be southern portions of Marshall County, anywhere from Arab, Albertville, Douglas, and southern portions of DeKalb, anywhere from Collinsville to maybe Crossville, Skirham, and Geraldine. I'm thinking it might be a little further south of Geraldine, but That's the areas of concern that I've got right now. I do see new severe thunderstorm warnings popping up. That's going to be to the southwest of us. Looks like around the Warrior area and Huntsville area. High resolution models suggest if you're in Jackson County, more likely all you're going to get is some wind and rain. May not even see any lightning or anything out of it. Same with north parts of DeKalb County, northern parts of Marshall County. Our concerns shifted to the southern portions of the counties. Station 28 Skywarn clear 407. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Look at these two crossing together. All right, so we do have some wind damage reports. Not surprised at all with that cell that went through Falkville. Storm spotter reporting I am so sorry. Storm spotter reporting an anemometer reading of 62.2 miles per hour. I mean, was I not literally just talking about that with those storms to the west earlier? They were showing signs of higher winds than what was actually showing up on the rate, or actually was being talked about, and that was literally right over the area I was talking about. And that's going to be right there in Falkville. That's where that report come out at. So 62.2 mile per hour winds measured by anemometer station via a storm spotter report. All right, so Arab, get ready. It's about to get a little bit stormy over in Arab. Pretty intense cell to the west. It is trying to pick up just a bit. What's amazing is the models showed it strengthening just a little bit, so that's very interesting. So if the storm continues to do what it's doing, there is a possibility southern parts of Marshall County may go under a severe thunderstorm warning. Just a heads up. That would be anywhere from, I'm going to go ahead and say Arab south, because our main gust front up here is still further north, so these storms are still going to progress east. So it may still do a little bit of trickery there, because the system to the north is not meeting it as quick as it was on the computer models. But still, my concerns with the southern portions of the counties. So again, if you're in Huntsville, you're getting what you're going to get. Some light to moderate rainfall, with the biggest majority or the severe threat still being further south of you. Same with Jackson County. Everything's hanging off to the south. I noticed on that scan it's already weakened a bit, but still seeing some gusty wind potential with it. And there is a warning over Dodge City, so just a little bit south of us, there is a warning out. And there is a possibility the southern portions could go under a warning, so I want to mention that. And pretty good agreement. I made a good decision there. Anywhere from Geraldine south into DeKalb, and Arab to Guntersville south in Marshall County. That would also include Albertville too and Boaz. I wasn't sure if it'd make it that far east, but it's more than likely going to, because this system to the north is just not meeting it in the right time. So these things can always do the opposite of what you think they'll do, so that's why you have to watch them. All right, so we do have a pocket of higher winds now starting to show up right now, just near Falkville. We got a spotter report at 4:03, so it's still a little bit of ways away. That was with some of that other activity that pushed through. But still seeing some high winds, particularly further to the south, so there may need to be a warning issued out on some of this. Didn't pay attention to the timing all that much, but at 4:03 is when that report of 62 miles per hour was reported, and I'm still seeing some very high winds show up. Not quite that high, but some 40s and 50 pluses. So a special weather statement, of course, is still in effect. So I do see some 30s and 40 mile per hour winds coming through that just come through Madison and Huntsville, and that's actually further south of Huntsville. But even if you're in Huntsville, you're still getting some 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, maybe even higher than that. My radar's wanting to say maybe like 50, 49 to 50. There is a special weather statement in place for that that does include the western portions of Marshall, and it may just be me, but yeah, still the same spot. So that's going to be due to those gusty winds coming through. Oh yeah, but if you were in Moulton, no doubt. That's why I was saying if I was in a mobile home, I wouldn't want to be in it. So, you being in a camper, yeah, most definitely got a good shake. I mean, absolutely. Yes, at the moment, five does look good. I'm just watching to see how far east this line can go before it eventually starts moving south. It gets pushed. It's all got to do with timing of that gust front. Right now, the line to the west is outrunning it. So this thing's taking its time up north. So this thing may go just slightly further north. I may have to adjust it a little bit to say that I'm going to be monitoring anywhere from Fife south of Fife currently. And in Marshall County, still the same, anywhere from Guntersville to Arab, Albertville, Boaz, Douglas. DeKalb County, going to be watching from Fife, Lakeview, Geraldine, Crossville, Collinsville area. Also, Pine Ridge, didn't mention that. It's right in line with it, but it looks like it's weakening, so. So some really high winds going to be coming into Jackson County. Heads up. You got it coming from the north and you got it coming from the west. So some high winds. You might get some occasional heavy rainfall in there, moderate to heavy in some spots. Depends on where you're at. Main system now pushing through, so you got some really high winds coming through, like Pleasant Grove, Skyline, of course, High Top, Hollywood, Scottsboro, Pisgah, Dutton section areas. We're going to watch everybody, though, just to be sure that this doesn't do something unexpected. But there is going to be some gusty winds with it, so as mentioned earlier, Jackson County is going to get some high winds, some gusty winds. The better threat of severe is still further south, with this main line coming in from the west. And that gust front did not go anywhere near as fast as what it showed on the high resolution. So we may have a different scenario altogether. I'm going to refresh it. It didn't progress as fast as it was expected to progress. It's still saying the same thing, basically, as it was. So it looks like here in our areas, we're getting along the timing that this is supposed to move in. It's showing 4 a.m. It starts to get its act together. Basically western, southwest portions of Marshall County. And then it becomes a main line at around 5 a.m. And then we get some rain on the backside, probably some rain and wind on the backside of it. Some of that could be moderate to heavy in Marshall and DeKalb counties. And then the main line is literally completely out of here by 7 o'clock. It's gone. But so far, that northern part of the storm I was watching that showed some signs of strengthening is now weakened a good bit. So Arab, you're about to get really heavy rain and high winds. Yeah, you see, I live in a mobile home too. A lot of people don't realize that. I live in one too, so I understand. We do have a storm shelter though, but in my opinion, I think we got it put a little bit too far away. I don't think mom and dad really put in the thought of them getting older, and it's getting harder to walk out there to it. I'm going to say it's probably 40 feet away from the house. And when you're trying to walk out through a storm, 40 feet, I mean, it's not crazy far away, but I mean, it could have been out at the back door here a little bit closer, but that way you don't risk sliding down. But yeah, the one that was in the camper there, Sarah, I don't know. I would have been scared to death being in a camper with 62-mile-per-hour winds. That would have terrified me to death. But yeah, that super outbreak of April 27, 2011, till this day, haven't never seen nothing. But I got to admit, some of those tornadoes we've seen today in Illinois and Kentucky, and some other areas were abnormally large. One of the stations actually, I believe they got a sensor into it, or it was radar indicated. I don't know 100% sure how that works, but it was something, took a measurement of the wind on it. and I believe it was close to 200 miles per hour, and the tornado was like 1.5 miles wide, maybe bigger. That's pretty large. That's on the stronger end of tornadoes that we've seen in a little while. So it's going to be interesting to see the ratings, and unfortunately, I don't know of any deaths or anything. Hopefully there wasn't, but with a tornado that big, more than likely, there probably was. Station 28 Skyborn want to advise still same thought process, basically southern portions of Marshall, southern portions of DeKalb, anywhere from Fife south, and Guntersville south, and Marshall County as far as Jackson goes, just some moderate to light to moderate rainfall. Could be some heavy mixed in. Also some high winds coming through Jackson County, but still my concern is going to be with the southern portions. Station 28 Skyborn clear 423. And I bet half the people are still are asleep, and they may be getting woke up by the radio, but that's okay. So good news, storms remaining below severe limits up here. That is good. Really good, actually. So I'm proud of that. But again, for those who would like to send a donation, help me out with my time and all. I did have all that put in the thing there where you could check that out if you would like to send one. If you don't, that's fine. I appreciate everybody being on here. I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so I do appreciate it. All right, so I can honestly say I'm to the point of saying, hey, I don't think it's going to really do anything, and other than high winds. Now, don't let me throw that out, or let me throw ahead and throw that out to everybody. There will be some high winds with it, so I'm not going to say it ain't going to do anything because there is going to be some high winds with it. It could do some minor damage to trees, especially if you got a weak tree or something. It might push it over on something, so definitely pay attention to that if you're in Jackson and even DeKalb and Marshall counties. But the severe threat so far is staying south of us, as thinking earlier. I am still going to stay on until this stuff does move out of Douglas, Boaz, and the southern portions of DeKalb. But also want to mention again, been talking about it for a little while. If you're in, let's say around Gadsden, Mountain Borough, Reese City, Attala, keep in mind you got some pretty heavy stuff coming your way. Some of that could pose a threat of some higher winds versus what we got here due to those storms coming through. So if you're in the Gadsden area, be watching it. Also, we'll be watching it for just a little bit longer here to see what it does. Make sure nothing, goes unexpected. Which if it did, it wouldn't. If it went warned, it would not surprise me because I've been thinking the southern portions are my most concerned areas right now. if anything was to go severe. All right, so we do see some higher winds coming in. I do see some 55-mile-per-hour winds embedded in some of that heavier shower activity that's moving across the Owens Crossroads area. Also, Paint Rock, Woodville. Of course, some higher winds might make it there. There is still a special weather statement in place for them areas due to those areas of pockets of higher winds. But looks like the highest of the winds are now south of Huntsville. The line is starting to collide together, so those winds are now starting to collide together with it. And now it's going to start pushing it kind of to the southeast. I see some higher winds now entering into the Union Grove area, Arab area, in Marshall County. Doppler radar indicating 30 miles per hour, so it's not crazy. So some 30, maybe 40-mile-an-hour winds will give it a little extra advantage just in case. The highest area of winds really that I'm seeing right now in the northern parts would be around the Owens Crossroads area. There's a nice little area of gusty winds there, and those might push into the Gurley, Paint Rock, Woodville area. In fact, it looks like they probably will. And that's going to be southwest portion of Jackson, so there is a little bit of some high winds there. Let's have a look at that on this radar scan. All right, so there's the areas that I'm watching near Owens Crossroads. There's some higher winds there now developing. It looks like it will push into Paint Rock, Woodville, Owens Crossroads area. Also, some minor gusty winds now around Union Grove and Marshall County, pretty much where that special weather statement's hanging out at. And seeing some pop up now to the west of Dodge City, which of course that's south of us, so. So yeah, special weather statement now issued out further south. So they did take it out of Marshall County completely, put it further south of us toward Gadsden, as mentioned. So thinking some high winds will move through the Gadsden area. Douglas, you're probably still going to get some gusty winds, even though you're outside of that area. So Douglas, maybe, I don't know. I think it's going to be south of Boaz, honestly. This is still staying really far south. So if you're there's a special weather statement out now further south. Looks like that'll be near Arkadelphia. Near Strawberry to Arkadelphia, movement was east at 50 miles per hour. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail. Areas impacted by that: Whitney Junction, Gadsden Steam Plant, Hoax Bluff, Smoke Rise, Rockledge, Fairview, Bangor, Aurora, Strawberry, Atala, Gadsden, Waterworks, Susan Moore, Glencoe, Chambles Mill, Sneed. I'm not going to try to pronounce that one. Holly Springs, Gallant, Gadsden Municipal Airport, and Kenner, and I'll say Crudup area. I'll try to pronounce it anyway. So I don't want somebody from that town writing me like, hey, these winds got really, really rough, and you didn't even try to pronounce the name of the town. So there, I mean, I at least try to pronounce it, even though it was wrong probably. All right, I'm thinking, pretty much it stayed south, even further south as first thought. So really, all I'm thinking we're going to get is some gusty winds and some rainfall. So unless you're in Gadsden, so the line's starting to, meet up a bit, starting to look a little bit more like a line, but it looks like again it starts to really collide into a main line further south. But it may not even do it because this gust front, I mean, look at this. It's still way up here. This thing's moving nowhere near as quick as the high-resolution models was estimating it to be. Let's see what their new thinking is. It just refreshed. And pretty much still the same thinking. Yeah, still thinking it becomes a complete line. As it moves into like Gadsden and maybe south of Gadsden, it becomes a complete line. So pretty much same thinking on this. So I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up, everybody. Honestly, because I think we're pretty much good here. Other than some high winds, now you will have some high winds. I won't rule out some of those winds being anywhere between 30 and 50 as this main line does progress to the southeast. But the counties will continue to get took out of that watch. If you're in Athens, your severe threat's already moved through. Huntsville, hang on just a little bit longer. Jackson County also hang on a little bit longer. Same with Marshall and DeKalb. But other than that, I think everything is pretty much doing what it's going to do. Just wanted to watch those storms from the west. And they already are being influenced by those winds to the north, meaning it's taking more of a shift to the south-southeast, versus it going east like it was. So looks like, that being said, going to probably get ready to wrap it up and going to continue watching it. Jimmy, Sneed areas, y'all are in a special weather statement down in the Sneed areas for some gusty winds up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail if you're in that area. Okay, Travis, thanks very much. I'll go look at that. I just saw your comments. Let me go look. And yeah, as you heard it, it literally just now showed up. So I really appreciate that. Absolutely, really do appreciate that. Thanks so much, man. Thanks, I really appreciate it. I see a comment here. Let's see. Yeah, my mom always says the same there, Tina. If he could part the sea, he'll definitely calm the storms, and we've always been blessed here. Not going to sit and brag because, stuff can always shift very quickly. Stuff that's never happened before has definitely been happening lately. There's been some crazy stuff going on. So definitely not bragging, but just saying we've been blessed. And I could say a tornado hasn't hit our area in over 100 years, where I'm at particularly. So it doesn't mean that it can't. Most definitely don't. It just means that, really blessed that it hasn't. So others can't really say that because, tornadoes, of course, they don't really care where they hit at. So, you know what I mean? But thanks again, everybody. I'm going to get on off of here and get ready to wrap it up. Probably lay back, listen to some of this rain and wind move through here, and unless something changes. So, all right, thanks everybody for watching. I do appreciate it. Also, Travis, thanks for the donation there, man. I really, really appreciate that. It's going to help me buy some gas for the car. So, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks each and every one of you. And if keep your eye out, by the way, those that's talking about the storm shelter can't afford it. Keep an eye out because sometimes you'll find some that are at a really good price. We couldn't afford one either, and we found one at a really good price. We was really lucky, to be honest. But I know everything's went up. Probably not going to be that lucky again, but you might. So just keep an eye on them. You might get a good deal. The government might, knock on wood, give a grant out. I doubt it, but you never know. I really doubt it, but you never know. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good night, a good rest of your Saturday, and still be watching out for some high winds. Other than that, though, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on the next update, which will probably be tonight. So take care, everybody. Thanks again.